Yes, likely will not he will not see the light of day, and he will never be a free man. Helping us with our investigation, a former Idaho Attorney General Dave Leroy. Also joining our conversation, Sam Mangel, federal white-collar advisor. You're going to prison, you want to talk to Sam. Sam, what is Kohberger going to be faced with?
Once he goes into the facility and those Sally Port doors close, reality will sink in. Probably for the first 2 or 3 weeks, he'll be held in a solitary environment where they'll monitor him, make sure that he's not suicidal, and that he can then enter general population. And unless he requests some sort of protective custody, which will be substantially worse than being in general population, because he'll be locked in a cell 23 out of 24 hours a day by himself. Short of that, he'll be in a population of men that really, many of which will probably want to do harm to him. He's a young guy, he's somewhat scrawny, and he killed 3 young daughters and sons, the ages of the people that he murdered. So he's going to go in there completely unprepared.
All right. Sam, we got a little issue with the communication there. Dave, you're familiar with this institution that Kohberger is headed to, and what can you tell us about it?
Well, it's a general purpose penal facility with different kinds of classifications. And I think your speaker was correct that he will be segregated. But I don't think they're going to make an effort to put him in the general population for a couple of reasons. Number one, when he walks through that door, he will get the next consecutive number as a penal facility inmate, but he will instantly be the inmate with the longest sentence of any inmate in the institution. I think as punishment appropriate to his crime, he'll probably be kept in solitary confinement, likely for most of his sentence or all of his life, in part because he will be a target for the general population. I would expect him to do the 23 hours a day in the maximum security facility in the solitary confinement section of that facility.
Sam, what's worse, solitary, or if you're Bryan Kohberger, you were alluding to it earlier, in general pop, because if you have an inmate with a target, let's say you can conjure up, oh, I bet that guy, this guy's the guy with the biggest target, right? It's going to take up his whole back. If someone knocks Kohberger off, that's a badge of honor in the big house.
Well, certainly for the first, 3 or 4 weeks or few months, being in solitary is somewhat more comforting. And I use that term carefully because in there, he knows he will be safe. He knows that he will not be subject to attack. However, after a period of time, he's going to really be craving the attention and what being around other people brings. There's nothing worse than being locked in a 6x9 cell for 23 hours a day. And in many instances, it's 24 hours a day where you're only allowed out 3 times a week for 1 hour, maybe for a shower, or to walk in a very small enclosed mini cell. So he's going to eventually crave the attention of some sort of companionship and camaraderie and the things that go along with being in general population. I agree with your other guest that the institution will be somewhat leery about putting him into GP. However, at some point, they're going to have to, or he's going to request it. And just due to the nature of the facility, that's where he is most exposed and most at risk. My expectation is I would be really surprised if he lasts more than a few years in prison.
Oh, do you agree with that?
Well, that's why the director of the Department of Correction is going to keep him solitary, in my opinion. It's our job to keep him alive, to make sure that that death sentence at the end of his natural life is a sentence he serves at the Idaho State Penitentiary.
And not carried out by fellow inmates. How difficult of a balancing act is that, though, when you're talking about confining someone 23 out of 24 hours a day or giving them some privileges And saving his life.
Well, the usual rule, even in Max, is you can earn privileges by good conduct. But in his case, I think we will be able to justify that the extreme penalty of total isolation for the rest of his life is supportable as a unique defendant, a unique inmate who doesn't deserve any privileges.
Dave Leroy, thank you. Sam, thank you for your time this evening. Appreciate your insight into what Bryan Kohberger's life is going to look like.